Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I have an interesting topic for you, and it's about music. So this topic's very interesting because I have been playing some instruments. First, I've been playing the piano for most of my life, but this year I'm gonna learn the viola, and the viola is pretty hard, but a piano right now is harder. So for music, I'm gonna talk about interesting stuff and how music works. And music, it lets us have the feeling of sadness and happiness. For example, the Christmas music, it makes you happy, like Jingle Bells. You get really happy when you hear it, and it reminds you of Christmas. But when there's kind of like soft music or calm music, it makes you want to fall asleep or dance with someone. So music can have the feeling or idea to make you have feeling. First, I'm going to talk about how instruments work, stars of the orchestra, electric sounds, and how do electric guitars work. But first, I want to just talk about the wow fact. The oldest instrument ever discovered was a vulture flute, which is made out of a bone, and it was from 35,000 years ago. So this kind of flute, it was very simple. But this vulture flute, it was from 35,000 years ago. So that's a long time ago. I think the people in the past, they probably sang and danced around, or they made early instruments that are like the viola with strings or like other kinds of instruments. I'm going to talk about how instruments work. So instruments, they can have different things to help them work. For example, for the viola, you have to press the strings, but for the piano, it's like percussion, so you have to tap on it. But the piano, it actually has strings inside, but you don't play the strings, like you don't strum it. So how instruments work, the more faster they vibrate, the more higher the pitch is, but the more lower the pitch is, the more that they vibrate longer. So the longer they have, the more lower it is. So I think pitch is one important part of music because you can hear all different sounds. But if it's just percussion instruments or like kind of like drums, mostly you can only hit one type of sound. But for like viola or piano or cello, you can make multiple sounds because there's different kinds of strings and pitches that you can use. So right here is a girl playing bottle organ. So if you want to look at bottle organ videos, they're on YouTube and they're really cool. But bottle organs, if you blow into them, they all have different captivity in them in different sizes and but the bottles are the same size, but each bottle has a different captivity of a kind of liquid. So when you blow into it, when the air goes down and bounces back up, it sounds different from the other ones because each captivity is different. Like right here, she's playing this middle-ish one, and then compared to the loud one, the more higher one, this one is more higher noted because it doesn't take such a long time to travel back up to the surface, and then it makes a more higher sound. So this is one kind of unique instrument you can make at home if you don't have any instruments like the piano. So now I'm going to talk about stars of the orchestra. There are 4 kinds of instruments, and they are percussion, which is tapping, the strings, which is like viola, and you struck it. You can also have the woodwind, which is like the flute, and that's one of the earliest invented kinds of instruments, or the brass instruments, which is like the trumpets that you hear at parades. So the trumpets are like the brass instruments. They're made out of brass, and as you can see right here, they use these tiny tubes over here. When you click on them, there's a different airflow for each kind that you press on. So when you press on the first one, it probably is higher because there's when you tap on it, then there would be the first sound, but there are also 3 other tubes for the brass instruments. So you can switch notes with these. So also for woodwind instruments are like flutes. And then you see these holes over here. These holes, when you press on them, they make a different pitch, because when you press on them, there's going to be a different amount of airflow. So the different amount of airflow, it means that when it's probably the most highest point over here, it's probably the most highest pitch, because it doesn't take so long to travel back. So you can make different pitches with each of the flute holes over here, and then they make different sounds because of these holes. Also, for percussion instruments like drums, those are really fun to play, but most drums, they only have one type of pitch, because it's hard to think of a drum because you can only struck it. So that's why they could be a bit like, you couldn't make a whole song with them because they only have one pitch. But for string instruments like the viola, you can play all these different kinds of notes too. For my viola, I have more than 4 notes, even though there's only 4 strings over here. So if you see, there's 4 strings, but there's actually more notes than you think that there is for their strings. So that's why these tapes are here over here, so they can make different sounds. And for electric sounds, I'm going to talk about electric sounds. So my piano over here, it's electric, and electric instruments are cooler than you think. So at first, when I got this piano, I thought it was a normal piano, like the one we had last time in Texas, which is our old house. But now we have this really cool electric piano. So electric pianos, they use electricity to make their sound. So it's really hard to make sound when there is not a lot of energy. So when there's not a lot of energy, it's hard to hold your note. So when you have electric instruments, the note can grow longer. It's a longer note, and also you can do different cool things with it. For example, my piano, it can make about any single sound at once. So for example, it can even make like a singing sound, which is cool. But it could be a normal piano sound or almost any type of piano sound. And even my viola could be a sound in the piano, the electric piano. And it can also be connected to kinds of networks, so it could be blasted through the music. And also, right here is an electric keyboard. Most people have these electric keyboards, like my friends, and then they can also do the same thing as my electric piano, but they also can be used to amplify your sound, like make your sound louder, and it can have future noises, which is pretty cool. Because you probably wouldn't get bored if you just had one piano sound, but for this piano, you can make any single sound you want. And you can also use a metronome, which is like a beat of something that helps you keep on beat, and then it helps you, and you can practice with it too. So now I'm going to talk about how do electric guitars work. So guitars, for example, there's these sounds, but when you pluck one part of it, you can make a different note. Like over here, that's one note, but you can make a different note when you press on it, and then it will make a different sound because you pressed on the note. So that's different for each kind of note on your kind of stringed instrument. Same as guitar. Guitar, you can also press them, and then they'll make a different sound. But imagine if you had a guitar, but it wouldn't make a long sound because for your instrument, you have to make a lot of energy for it, but it can only stay for a while. So for like my viola, it won't stay for a long time. It'll go away. But for electric guitars, right down here, they have kinds of electric pickups, which are kind of magnets. And when they strum through the magnets, then they'll make an electric charge, and then it will sound really like electric and rap. But also, these electric guitars, they can be connected to the speaker system to make it way louder. Like, for example, if you go to a guitar concert and people are playing electric guitars, you could maybe hear a sound blasted out because they might have been connected to the speakers, which is pretty cool. So imagine if I had an electric viola, probably they'll invent that, and that would be pretty cool too. And these pickups are very small. They're at the bottom, and their strings, they also help make the vibrations and then make electric feelings, so then they'll produce electricity, unlike most guitars. We used to have a guitar, but I think it would sound very different compared to the electric guitar, because electric guitar sounds more like electric and more rappy. So if you think about Elvis Presley, you always think about electric guitars because I think he played a lot of those. So that's why I always think of electric guitars by him. My conclusion is I think music is a really cool way to express your feelings. For example, if you use the piano for Christmas songs, you can express your feelings by using your Christmas songs, and then you can play a really good song for your family. So that's one way you can feel happy or sad, because sometimes I hear songs that are really calming or happy. That's the job of music. And also, I think without music, we probably will think of the world as just boring, because music helps us work a lot. For example, my teacher, she always puts on calm music because it helps us work a lot, and it will help us have our mind process more. And it's really calming. And I think some of these instruments are really cool. And I have one of the coolest instruments here, which is an electric piano. I don't think most people have an electric piano, so that's pretty cool. But I think it's been pretty unique learning all these instruments, and since I know how they work now, then it's really cool. And thank you for listening. If you have any comments and questions, please comment below. And please like and subscribe.